Hey, this is Seriously Sis Podcast. I'm Madison.
And I'm Julia.
So this is the first of hopefully many podcasts that we have. We want to take a second to kind of introduce ourselves, and then we're going to jump right in. Julia, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm going to try very hard not to dominate the conversation. First things first, a little bit about me. I am a 30-something. I am a single woman. I am a workaholic. I have a full-time job. I have a business, and then I lead worship at the church, all of those things. Especially very, very heavy on the single life. We're navigating through that. And so you'll hear a lot of things from my perspective as a Christian woman who's walking in that direction, which makes me very different from you in that sense. Very different. I'm going to let you tell your own story. But even with that being said, even with the differences that we have a lot of similarities. Mm. And so we're going to touch on what some of our differences are, but then after that, jump into what our similarities are and why those brought us together to want to do this. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to let you have it.
All right. Well, I am a 30-something as well. I am a mother of 6. I am a wife. Been married. It's going on about to be 16 years. I am also kind of a workaholic.
Kind of.
I work a lot, but I also am a part of the worship team, which that to me sometimes isn't work. That might be a break from my work, depending on the week. I think that's an overview of me and what I'm like.
It's both of them, I feel like, are oversimplifications, but they're going to find out very quickly that we're a lot. We do a lot and we are a lot.
We have a lot of opinions.
We do. And I would like to say that we're going to keep them subdued, but we won't.
We won't.
So, which reminds me, we also need to do this. The thoughts that we have are our own. Mm-hmm. They are not reflections of any employer or the church that we serve at, anything like that. These are our thoughts. And with that being said, while we do have a lot of the same ideas and perspectives on things, I'm sure on this podcast, there will come a day when we do not. And so just creating space to be able to have that open dialogue and conversation, which kind of brings me to why we want to do this in the first place, which is because, we're coming from different backgrounds, but in certain ways, we're coming from a similar one.
Right.
And we just, in getting to know each other, started having these conversations and found that, there are things that we both needed to talk about. And we're like, man, it's nice to have somebody to talk about this stuff with,
right.
Even coming from different backgrounds. And so we were like, how many more women are there out there that are Christian women, regardless of what their current status is, whether they're married or have children or whatever, but just don't have someone to have real conversations with. Because I think it's easy for us as Christians to always want to keep things palatable and surface level and bless you and all the things, and we don't get into the woods of what's going on, obviously from a righteous standpoint, but from an honest standpoint. So that's one of the reasons why we decided to start a podcast, is because we wanted to create a space to have those conversations.
Right.
The other reason is because we've got some similar passions. We are both on the worship team. Maddie was gracious enough to let me on. She did my audition, and for some reason she kept me.
It was a great audition.
It was okay. But for some reason she kept me, and I'm glad she did, because then it led to this. But we have some similar passions, music being one of them. But we're finding that we also have some similar dreams. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of touching on the topic that I want to bring up today and just see where it goes from there. Because if I'm being honest, the last week or so, I've just been struggling a little bit. I've got some dreams that I feel like the Lord has put inside of me, that He's put inside of me for many, many years. And I haven't seen the progress in it that I've wanted to see. And sometimes that's hard to bear, especially being a 30-something, especially being a 30-something who is unmarried and desires marriage. Now, I know that there are some of us who do not, but I do. And so whether it comes to my love life or whether it comes to my dreams for music or all the things, it just got to be overwhelming. And as I was marinating on all of that, the Lord took me to Proverbs 13:12, which says, "Hope delayed makes the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is a tree of life." And I'm kind of sitting in that hope delayed part. But even in that, God has a way of making you see things that you haven't considered while you're struggling. It's very easy to get internalized into how you feel and what you're going through without seeing the way that He is providing and the way that He is orchestrating things. And so for me, doing this podcast is the beginning of the second half of that, which is desire fulfilled is a tree of life. I've wanted to do a podcast for a while. I've wanted to do music for the Lord for a while, but have never felt like I had the people around me that also wanted to do it. And could I have done it on my own? Maybe. I think a solo podcast is wild, but people do it. Do your thing.
Talk to yourself.
Talk to yourself. But it's nice to have people to do things with.
Right.
And so in starting this podcast, like Maddie is that for me. We have very similar, I don't even want to call them goals and make it seem like a worldly thing, but just passions, passion for worship, a passion for God, a passion for the Word, and wanting to do this the right way and create a space for other people to walk this with us. And so as I was sitting in my little pity party and the Lord brought me here, He also was showing me how He was putting people into my life to walk with, and not just for a podcast, but just through life, and how we can support each other. So for me, all of that is the reason for this podcast for me, is to create a space for us to be able to have conversations about things that we go through, but also for us to link arms in the things that the Lord has put inside of us to do.
I think that I told you whenever we came up with wanting to do a podcast that, of course, it's something I've desired and wanted to do. I think for me, I do find myself in a lot of situations where I have people asking me questions to pour into them. I don't want to say that I'm repeating myself, but I do find myself on repeat a lot, that I'm like, man, I should just get this over, rip off the Band-Aid, right? Because being 30-somethings women, we have gone through things that really can help shape the women that are coming up into this season of their life. You walking through singleness can help those 20-somethings. Me, I've been married, like I said, for 16 years. I've had 6 children. If you want to know anything about kids, don't ask me. But we have the opportunity to really use some of those things that God's put into us to pour into other people. And I like that you touched on like your desires and how you were feeling this week, because it makes me think of God always delivers. And I've never seen it look the way I think it should look.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen it look the way it should look. So I'm thinking like all the desires He puts in you, the ones that you have, it does say that He will give you the desires of your heart, Psalms. And it's just about when, where, and how. Right. And He doesn't give us those details normally. Right. We just sit here like, what's going on, God? Are you gonna you gonna make it happen, or what's up? So I think that can be very like a frustrating place to be at, or a vulnerable place to be at. Maybe a better wording, because it doesn't ever look the way it's supposed to,
or the way you want it to, anyway.
It always brings me back to the story of Abraham and Sarah.
Oh yeah, wow.
I always go back to that. Like when I'm thinking about things I've waited for, and I'm like, God, like what's going on? That always is what comes first to mind. That's always what He brings into my mind. And that didn't turn out any way they expected it to happen.
There's a lot of casualties along the way too.
There was, all because they were not patient enough to wait. Right. I don't know. That's where my brain goes when you're talking about these desires and how they're going to fall in. And I think something is said to make space for them. If you make space for them and make space for Him to move in those areas as well. That's why we're doing this right now. Like, do we have time? No, we don't. Listen, we are tired, and most days, but because this is what we want, we have to make a sacrifice to make it happen.
Right.
And I do think that, for such a time as this, perfect timing, we walked into each other's lives. Who would have thought, especially when it feels like everything's starting to go crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe it's Julia's fault.
I brought the drama. I am the drama.
Brought it with you when you, but I'm very excited for some of the subjects and things we're gonna talk through. But don't feel alone in that. I think I could say that we live in a world full of people who have desires that have not come to fruition yet.
Yes, I do too. And that's why I'm trying to be vulnerable from the start, because I think that that's what's lacking is vulnerability for people to be able to relate to the fact that, okay, I'm not the only one who feels this way. And I do think that there's power in our testimonies. And so, I know I painted this as a lot of, what I want and what I desire. But just like you said, on the heels of that, I also know, like I've seen enough of God to move to know that he's always moving in it. And there are other parts of my life where I felt similarly and he did move. And it was just walking through it. Like the scripture, I need to find it, but it's a man makes his plans, but the Lord orders his footsteps. And that's kind of where I feel like I'm at is, I feel like he put this inside of me. I don't think he would have put anything inside of me that he didn't desire for me to have. It's just a matter of walking it out his way. And so for me, this podcast is part of that. And I don't think it was a coincidence that we came into each other's lives at the times that we did, because I know you've got dreams and goals, and fortunately we can support each other in the ways of the directions that we're trying to go to. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to some of these conversations. Hopefully we don't get canceled.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable, but I don't care. I'm gonna say what I want.
As long as it's biblically accurate.
As long as it's biblically accurate. And when I am speaking from Julia, I will commit to saying that this is not God. This is me.
What does the Bible say?
Yeah, we're going to make a clear distinction between Julia and the Bible. We're going to try anyway. But that's for me what this is about. And I'm looking forward to continuing to do this with you and whatever the Lord has for where this goes.
I am right there. I'm excited. I think that it's going to be some good conversations, some rough conversations probably. We're going to try not to rabbit trail. We're going to try not to word vomit either. Make it make sense. It's going to be hard for me. It's going to be difficult, but that's why we're both here to pull each other back where we need to be when we need to be there.
Exactly.
So be on the lookout. There will be quite a few more of these. But yeah, we're excited to get to share our lives with you and pour into you guys.
Absolutely. And, as people watch this and start to engage with us, give us feedback and pour into us too. All right. Well, that's it for the first one. Until the next one.
Peace out.